Hi there, David here, and in this video, we'll be comparing 3 different Morph plugins by creating sound effects with them. So we'll be having a look at MMorph by Melda Productions, Synaptic Morph2 by Synaptic, and Transmutator by JMG Sound. All right, before we get into our project though, if you're new here, haven't picked it up already, I have a gift for you. It is my Sound Designer Starter Pack. It's a sound pack of over 900 sound effects that you can use for your commercial projects or your personal projects. There's everything from monster sounds, spell sounds, elements, impacts, a whole bunch of different stuff in there. So if you want to grab it, it'll be free. Link in the description. All right, let's get into our project. All right, so here we are inside of Reaper, and you can see here I have a couple of different examples set up so that we can kind of play around with the plugins, see what they can do, and see how they kind of compare some of the pros and the cons, and we'll go from there. So let's start here. Let's have a listen to the sounds that I've picked out here. I'm just going to take off all the effects here so that we listen to them raw as they are here. So this is the first sound. So it's kind of like this whoosh thing. And then I also have this sound here. Let's see if I can play this one. So if I go down to A here, this is this whoosh, fire whoosh sound. And then if I go on this side here, it'll be just this sound effect here. All right, so those are the 2 sounds that I'm playing with to start. So why don't we start right at the top here. This is Transmutator by JMG Sound. I'm gonna put that up here. Let's have a listen to these, to what it can do. So let's go. So what's cool about this plugin here is that you actually have a lot of different morph. I kind of put morph in quotation marks. They're actually, some of them kind of act as a morph, but some of them act as crossfades. So this is like a filter crossfade. You also have like different spectrum crossfades. I'm not sure what all of them do, but they all do something a bit different. So they process the audio a bit differently. So let's just have a listen here. And what I had done right before I started this video is actually assign an LFO using the Reaper parameter modulation here. So I'm using the audio signal. So whenever there's audio coming through the plugin here, it's going to move this dial. And this, it just makes the sound more interesting because then now you're kind of morphing between the 2 sounds. Right, so pretty cool. Right, you can get some really cool sounds that way. Let's add some magic dice here. This is a free plugin, just adding reverb and delay. Some of the others are kind of cool. I like the morph one here. Very bassy. Right, so it can create some cool sounds with that. Let's try, let's put on some MMorph. So I'm just going to put it on the basic setting here. So you can get some cool sounds with that. What I really like about this one is that you have these different like modes at the side here. So you have a lot of options of how you want to morph between them, which is really cool. You also have a LFO morph, which, so it's kind of like the Reaper parameter modulation, but all built in here into here. So if you're not using Reaper, you can still use this. Just cool. So you can see it's like blending, it's like morphing automation. You also have the step sequencer here, which you can do. Let's make it go fast. Right, so you can get this cool effect using this. What I really like about this one is that you can randomize everything and see what kind of results you get, which is pretty cool. So sometimes you don't get anything, but sometimes you do. All right, so you can get some pretty cool results like that. All right, let's switch over now, go to Synaptic Morph. So Synaptic Morph, again, is very similar. This one is you have your A and B here, and then you can also flip them A and B here. So everything is kind of like on one window, on one screen, which is kind of nice. You don't have to switch between different screens on like the MMorph. All right, so that's with the whoosh. Let's try with a different sound here. Here I have some impacts. I have a sub impact. And I have this one here, which is just a metal hit. Let's see if we can hear it with the Transmutator. Yeah, so that's the metal hit. Then, so let's have a listen to what we can create with that. So some cool impact sounds. That's really nice. I like the tone of this one. That's really cool. That's a cool sound. That's a fun sound. Right, so you can get a lot of cool tones and sounds out of these that you might not be able to think of unless you like just put it on Explore with it. So this one's fun because you can just like go through all these presets and then like flip the sounds around, invert A and B, and then kind of see what the results are. So I really like this one for that. MMorph is really fun because you can just, it's the same idea here. If you're just kind of using it to explore and see what you can get, I really like the random function inside of here. There's a lot more controls that you can control if you go in the edit function here in the edit tab, and then you can control each source, so A and B, and then go through it that way. I kind of just like either seeing what I can get just with the morph, like that. Sounds cool. Get this nice tonal impact, or just randomize everything and see what kind of results you get. Maybe I'll put something like uber loud on here just to like bring out some of the sound here. So that one's cool. Right, so it's kind of hit and miss. Sometimes you have to work a bit more to try to get a good sound, but sometimes you just get something right away and it just works. So I really like MMorph for that. Let's go over to Synaptic Morph now. I feel like this one is a lot more surgical. Like it really blends the two and morphs the two sounds together, like exactly how you kind of think they would blend together. So you can get some cool sounds like that. You also have like different presets for like different positions, and you also have different algorithms here. So let's try something else. So tight is, I think, better for like short impacts like this. All right, but you get the idea. All right, let's go to another example here. I have one where I was using my mouth, and then I also I just did like a roar thing. All right, so this is it here. I roared or did a roar here on this bottom one, and then this one here is like a metal scrape. So let's have a listen. Let's go with Transmutator again. All right, so those are the sounds. You have this like scrape, and then you also have this like me just doing a roar. So let's have a go with this. So you can get some cool sounds like that. I'm just going to bring this in a little bit like this. Whoa, that's cool. Right, so that's with like a knife scrape and then just me doing a roar thing. That sounds pretty cool. And it's like super wide. Nice. I like that. Liquid usually I find is good for like magical sounds. Not really working right now. Maybe like a creature sound. That's pretty cool. Right, so you can get some cool sounds like that. Let's see what else we can come up with Morph here. try to randomize. That's cool. You have some sort of tremolo going on here. Right, so it's kind of hit and miss. You can get some cool stuff, and if you don't want to like randomize stuff, you can actually have more control here. You do need to like reset all of your settings though when you do that, because all of the settings from when I randomized are still on here. So you can come here and just click on the default. Yeah, you should be back to your default settings here. All right, let's have a go at Synaptic Morph here. So usually for this plugin, I like to keep my complexity all the way up, but you can always play with this. It just kind of simplifies the two sounds so that they don't blend or morph as much. At least to my ears, that's kind of what it sounds like. All right, so that was a quick kind of overview of the three. So let's just talk a little bit about what the pros and cons and kind of what I like about them or my thoughts about them. So for Transmutator, I really like that everything's just kind of built in and it's just right here in this one interface, and that you can just quickly scan through their already made presets, and then you can just invert whatever the A and B source sound, and then kind of audition everything that way. I find it's really, you can do it super quickly if you have stuff on repeat. And you're kind of looping through audio, like you can quickly go through stuff and kind of find and experiment and see what you can find with it. So I really like that, and I like that they're not all kind of morph. Some of them are morph, and some of them are more like crossfades. So not everything will work as a morph like Morph does. And I think it's like dynamic sometimes does, and I think follower are like the three that I use a lot. But of course, you never know what you're gonna get. Like stuff with like pitch and shift, those pitch shift your stuff up and down. So it's like you can get some cool sounds that way too. So it kind of depends what you're going for and what you're trying to do, but there's always something here that you can try out with your audio if you want to morph stuff. So that's what I really like about this one. Some of the cons is that it's not technically like a morph plugin like the other two are, but it's really easy to set up, quick, easy to use. And of course, there's no like randomization or anything like that, unfortunately. So there's no like, there's not a lot of tweaking you can do in terms of like setting up your sound exactly the way you want. So it can be a benefit or not. It just depends how you look at it. I kind of like it because it's like a quick setup, easy go, and just play with it. And this is what you have to play with, and you don't have a lot to tweak. So it's, yeah, it depends how you want to look at it, but that can be a good or a bad thing. Inside here, so for MMorph, what I really like about this one is the randomization option. So I like any plugins that have like stuff where you can randomize stuff and just kind of explore sounds and different combinations of sounds and different ways of putting sounds together that I probably wouldn't have thought of or wouldn't have spent the time trying to figure out on my own if I did have to. So it kind of saves me time in that sense. And I also like this kind of exploratory sound design where you can randomize stuff and kind of discover sounds that you like that you wouldn't have thought of. So I really like that, like even if it's just randomizing the tone and character here, I like that I can do that. Just like that, or I can randomize everything, like the whole plugin itself, all the parameters and how they morph together, right? So I really like that if you're looking for like some sort of randomization craziness, like this is the plugin for morphing. If you're looking to morph and randomize stuff, this is gonna be the plugin for you. So I really like it for that. And then of course, it's nice that they have these already pre-made presets on the side here that you can just quickly go to if you have something in mind already for morphing. Like this is really great for that. Some of the cons can be that because it's so like in depth and there's so much that you can tweak in here, that would probably be one of the cons of this plugin. Like some people like that, and which is great. Like sometimes you do want a lot of plugins to be able to tweak everything. Sometimes you just don't, right? You just want to be able to have it be able to do one thing and do one thing really well. I guess that's kind of like the bonus of having these tabs here where they're just like really basic plain presets. And if you do want to tweak in, you can go in here and do that, but you don't have to. So like, it's a lot to learn if you did want to go in the back end here and tweak everything, but if you don't want to and you don't need to, you don't need to. You can just stay with these and it's really fine and easy to use. So that can be a pro or con. I guess that's why they made it this way so that it does become a pro. But yeah, I don't know that I have much cons or bad things to say about this one. It's kind of nice, especially with the dual morph and the LFO and the step filter here, the step morph. It adds a different way of morphing that is not found in the other plugins. So it's kind of unique to this one plugin here. Usually it's more of a musical way of doing it, but I've actually played around with the step sequencer in terms of like creating sound effects. Like for example, this one, and I think it was this one where I could create like, I was able to like create some weird sounds with the step sequencer. So. Right, so you can create some weird sounds even if it's using the step sequencer. It can still work, even though it's meant to be like a musical effect. You can still use it as a sound effect. So there you go. All right, last but not least, you have Synaptic Morph, and this one I like because it's very surgical and very like precise in terms of like the sounds they create. I find it's a lot more sensitive. Like I'm not sure how to exactly describe it. I'm just kind of trying to describe it the way I hear it, but from what I can tell, it just kind of blends and morphs the sounds a lot more precisely. But you also don't have as much to be able to tweak or any kind of presets to tweak. Like the presets are all like positioning this dot here, which is kind of left and right is like your crossfade, and up and down is like your morph. So yeah, so you're kind of going between different algorithms and then different positions, morphing positions. So that's about it. But I mean, you can do that manually, but in terms of preset, that's it. Like you don't have much in terms of, you know, changing the tone or the characteristics of the sound or adding LFOs or anything like that in here. Like you do have this format here, which changes the sound. The higher you go, the higher format it is, and the lower it's going to be a lot lower. You can change the complexity here, but apart from that, like I'm kind of just comparing it to like MMorph, which has a lot more knobs. This one just doesn't. It's a lot more plain and basic. You also have a built-in reverb, which again you could use. That's cool. I just don't, but you have that here. Generally I don't touch like anything on this side. Everything is just on this side here. Yeah, it's a bit more basic and easier to use. Like you can just load it and have it there. So if you're looking for something a bit more precise and surgical, this would probably be the one. I think this one would probably be better for like some musical sounds or like musical elements. If you're doing music or musical sound design, this might be better. But yeah, I think the other ones are a bit more flexible and have a bit more flexibility in terms of like what they have built in compared to Synaptic Morph here. But that's just been my thoughts and my experience with it. So I'd love to know what you guys think though. So let me know down below. All right, so let me know what you guys thought of the 3 plugins. Is there one that interests you more than the other? Is there one that, is there something I missed? Perhaps I missed something that I didn't show off. Maybe I should have showed off or should have considered when going through these 3. So I'd love to know. And just a reminder to grab that free sound pack. Link will be in the description. And I think that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.